Hello and welcome to For Fox's Sake. My name is Pete Selby, and alongside me is John O'Towers and Joe Healy. A very warm welcome to everyone. Happy Easter. Or will it be for Leicester? We will see. That's what we're talking about, because Leicester, it'll be make or break really for Leicester, as the headline for this show says, because we've got two games coming up over Easter. We've had a little bit of time off. The players have had a bit of time off. It seems like the manager's had a bit of time off as well, sunning himself down in Lisbon in Portugal. We're going to be talking all things, the two games coming up for Leicester, at home against Preston and then away at Sheffield Wednesday. We want to know from you. So if you're listening to this right now, if you're watching this right now, watching it live, listening live, get in contact. Let us know what you've been thinking about over the last few days, over the last week or so, in the gap that we've had, the international period. Your thoughts on the next two games, also regarding other news, because we're going to touch on everything. This is a real free-for-all show, okay? So we're going to discussing that, discussing maybe the financial loss that we've had over the last, the results came out for 24-25, other news as well. So whatever you want to talk about, get in contact with the show. You can comment right now on Twitter, on X, on Facebook, or on YouTube, however you're watching. Do get in contact. Also, head over to forfox8.news. Plenty going on there. The latest on the top 100 Leicester players of all time countdown, including a few familiar faces that we've seen over the last 20 years or so, and maybe some that we've heard from as well. Also, plenty on, because, of course, the Leicester City women have been playing over the international period, and there's an awful lot on there. It's not going too well with the Leicester City women as well. So plenty on for Fox8.news, and you know by now it's only a £5 a month, and for a £5 you get all that content, and it keeps these podcasts absolutely free. Plenty of excellent stuff on for Fox8.news. Talking to someone the other day who's a subscriber, and they were just surprised about how not only just how much is on there, but also that there's pretty much content every single day, and thoroughly enjoying the quizzes. There's a quiz every single week, 10 questions every single week, done by my good self. They were saying how good it is, because it's in what they said, it was in no set terms. There's no, it's just questions from 2015-16. It's all of a sudden you'll be asking a question from 1901, and then the next thing you want to know is who assisted a goal for Tony Cottee, and then the next question is how much they did sign Patson Daka for, and then there's a question from 1964. I said, yeah, it's all over the place. It's me, isn't it? So make sure you head over to forfox8.news, check it out. And if you do fancy subscribing, please do. It's only a £5 a month. And again, it keeps these podcasts completely free. Enough about that, because we're talking all things Leicester. My first question to you guys, and again, it's more of a free-for-all, really, rather than just asking questions, etc. I just want to say, I want a rating out of 10 on recent things, and there's a lot. The list is long, everyone out there, of things that you've been embarrassed by at Leicester City in the last couple of years or so. The list is growing by the day. Where does a sausage roll on a T-shirt being sold for £25 for about 6 hours before it gets withdrawn, where does that rate out of 10, Joe, on the I'm embarrassed by my football clubometer?
Oh, that's a good question, but we've got to establish the scale, really, haven't we? If one is winning the Premier League, what's 10? I mean, the sausage roll's getting there. Those sausage rolls are expensive as well, but apparently more on a T-shirt. I did see that today. They're running out of ideas. I mean, I thought the way they got onto the Abdul merch with the 70-yard goal pretty quick, that was fairly embarrassing as well. But I'm going to go for a solid 7 on that, maybe even an 8 to the 25 quid. Get plenty of sausage rolls for that.
It is true. It is true. It's just, it really is. It's just so embarrassing, and you see, the issue is it's not even a sausage roll we're selling anymore. Absolutely, it really is. Comment with you if you've not seen this, by the way. Jono, I don't know whether you've seen the whole sausage roll thing. Go on. What's a brief explanation?
I mean, I saw it online earlier, and I thought it was an April Fool, first of all, where they got it a day early or something. I mean, it is tragic, really awful. Yeah. So I have no idea why there's a sausage roll on a T-shirt, but I'll certainly not be parting 25 notes for that. Bit embarrassing, really.
It is, and I must admit, when I first saw it, I did think actually that that it was an April Fool, that they've pressed the button a bit early. Now,
Yeah.
it could be the case that tomorrow the club turn around and go, yeah, we kind of got it wrong. Someone did press the button a bit early. Things like that can happen in the world of horse racing. If you don't know what I'm talking about for the next 15 seconds, don't worry. But basically, Aidan O'Brien, the best trainer in the world, and Coolmore, worth millions, if not billions of pounds, basically pressed the wrong button on the computer and put out 2-star horses from the 2000 Guineas. And now they can't put them back in unless they pay 30 grand each. So these things happen. So it can happen, these things. But for Leicester to put out what is possibly the most awful T-shirt in the world, it's terrible as well. I mean, she's there grinning like a Cheshire cat, thinking, Christ, look what I'm doing here. And then they've put this sausage roll, which they don't even sell anymore. What's going on? And I don't particularly like the sausage roll. Anyway, just mind-blowing. And of course, in the world of social media nowadays, these things spread around, and it's just another brick in the wall of disappointment. It's terrible, isn't it? It's another layer to a cake that's growing day by day that we've all been tucking into for the last couple of years. I don't know where it is on the scale. I'm looking at it from a little bit more of a jovial point of view, going, okay, it's like a 3 or 4 out of 10 because not everyone has seen it, but it's terrible. It really is. It's terrible. And yeah, if it was an April Fool, then read the room, we're all about to go down. Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I want to get on to now, because the pictures came out of the week of players abroad, but also the manager abroad. Now, I'm straight away going to go in with my 2 pence on this. I'm not particularly bothered whether Gary Rowett's out in Lisbon enjoying a few days in the sun, because if he's there drilling the team every single day on the pitch, on the out in Seagrave, that's fine. You know, I can understand that. And if the pictures are showing that's fine. But also, is there a side to say, well, actually, if the players go away for a few days and then come back nice and refreshed, is that more of a bonus than actually being out there training? You can see both sides. Some people won't like it. Some people will. I'm on this front. I'm a little bit more okay. I'll basically put my hands in the air and say it's not really a problem for me. If he went out straight away and then he's going to come back 2 days before the next game, that might be a bit of an issue. But if they've been given 2 or 3 days maximum, I'm not too bothered about that. But I understand some people will. What do you reckon, Joe?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I heard another podcast where they had a youth guy on saying about in the title-winning season when they lost to Arsenal and Claudio just said go on holiday, and everyone went and sort of came back refreshed. In this situation, most of our good players are away with national teams anyway, so I think we may as well give them a rest and make sure they come back recharged and ready for the run-in.
Yeah, absolutely. Jono, what do you think about players going away? Or more importantly, I think it was the manager that maybe got a few people twisted the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably on the same side as you guys, really, other than timing-wise, making sure that they all get back and they all do sufficient work to make sure that they're coming out all guns blazing in the game against Preston. Because if we see a lackluster performance and seeing them come out all sluggish and lethargic like we've seen all season, then I think questions and fingers should be pointed in that direction and say, what the hell are you doing? Giving them the break, you would hope and trust that would make a difference with regards to the performance levels, and hopefully it will. So I can see the logic of taking some time off, just having a break away, but as long as it has the sufficient outcome on the pitch, I think is all I would say. If we don't see any difference, then I think there's no reason why they shouldn't be in Seagrave earning their money, frankly. So we'll see what happens. I think my opinion would change if we get thumped against Preston at home.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting, isn't it? I just, for me, I kind of put that to one side. We'll be talking regarding Preston. We'll be talking all things Sheffield Wednesday as well in those 2 games. What I want to know is from everyone listening and watching right now live, how many points is the obvious question, isn't it? So how many points do you think Leicester need over the next 2 games if it's going to make or break their season? And you guys can think about that. But we'll touch on the financial side of things for only a little period of time. So don't worry, everyone. But they released the figures for the season that we got relegated from the Premier League, and this is before essentially a lot gets taken off the 71 odd million pounds that they lost. So you've got obviously running costs of the training ground, you've got the women's team, all these costs that you can take off to make the overall figure for PSR, and the football club are very confident that they're going to be underneath roughly the target of say 35 odd million, around that kind of target. But was there anything that really stood out in those figures for you that were still alarming, or was it just the overall picture of the football club that is still the most alarming thing, that the fact that they're still making that sort of loss year on year, Joe?
Yeah, we said about the scale of embarrassingness. I think that the last 2 years, financial mismanagement is at 10 there, really. I heard it. I mean, I will say it seems like it is a bit of a step in the right direction. And it looks a little bit better if we stay in the championship. But again, just alarming really to see for that year that 110% of our income was going on wages or whatever. Just some basic business stuff that you don't even need to run a business to know. It's fairly obvious how they got into that situation. I shied off reading too much about it to start with, because I just couldn't, just can't keep listening to it, really, because it's just you just end up just shaking your head, and it's depressing. But that said, it might be a step in the right direction, and if we're making that kind of loss after the training ground, the women's team, that the allowable loss, I think there's plenty of other teams that do that as well. So yeah, fairly nonplussed, but happy that it wasn't the sort of news that we've had for the last few years. Still very frustrated and annoyed that we've had the last couple of years of financial mismanagement that we have.
Jono, what about you? 71.7 million, and the football club kind of explained it and held their hands up and said, look, we basically spent the money to try and stay up. That was the money that you have to spend nowadays, or even more, to have a chance of staying up. We know that the money was overall spent quite poorly. A lot of it went on the likes of Skip, El Canoes, which they're going to get most of it, if not all of it, back, or maybe a little bit of profit. Likes of a Coley, etc. So it wasn't spent too well at all. But again, 71.7, it doesn't read well, does it?
No, I mean, on the from the headline figure, I was actually quite alarmed by hearing that initially, before I started sort of digging a little bit deeper and started understanding it a little bit more. Still not an expert on it by any means, but my understanding is that they can take off various different things to do with the women's team and the training ground and various other infrastructure stuff, which will take down that figure. But even so, a business that's losing 70 odd million a season, doesn't sound like a healthy place to be in, frankly. And it does sort of highlight, potentially what King Power are having to do to keep us afloat, I suppose. Because where's that 70 million coming from as a loss? I'm assuming it's coming out of their pockets, to keep the
absolutely.
I mean, you would say, well, it's their doing, frankly. I mean, it's Top and Rudkin that have put them in that position. So if Top's gonna, put us in that position, then it's his own fault to help us to get out of it again. So you can, so in that regard, where I don't know where I stand, but ultimately 70 million sounded like a lot to me. And it sounded like, and I actually quite liked the statement that was brought out by the new CEO, who he was quite transparent about what he was saying about the fact that there's still loads of work to do, but we are heading in the right direction. And he's got the wage bill down to was it 80% now or something? And hopefully with the clear out that we're going to have in the summer, that will reduce further, and we'll be in a healthier position, hopefully, come next season, if we make a decent shot of getting some new players in, so at the right levels for us as we are right now. So there's still too many big earners at the club that should have been shipped out a long time ago, and that's basically the problem. Is that we've been totally incapable of shipping players out, other than last season where we had the fire sale. But it's still too many there that are earning too much money.
Yeah, I mean, the comment here, according to reports, even with the projected 35 million buybacks, then we still fail the PSR for the season. I think it's just we'll wait and see. And yeah, we'll just sell 4 million sausage roll t-shirts and we'll be absolutely fine. It's it's an alarming figure. For me, the one thing that stood out, and we'll wait for those buybacks to see how whether that eventually turns into a PSR breach or not, because again, we're all still under a bit of a cloud of that. The football club can turn around and say that they're very confident in avoiding that. We've heard that before and we've been deducted points. So we'll take that with a little bit of pinch of salt. I agree with you, John, on one of your comments, especially, which is about it's all about the wages for me. We know that we were spending over 100% of our turnover on wages in the year we went down with Rodgers, etc., and that side, and that was kind of understandable because we're obviously flying too close to the sun. We were trying to get back into Champions League football, and then obviously it all went horribly wrong. But then if you look at that season, and they lost nearly just shy of 90 million. Lost nearly 20 million overall in the promotion season, and then 71.7 million in then the relegation since. And then you look at the overall figure, and the overall figure, according to percentage compared to your turnover, is now below 100%, but it's still quite high. But it's the 65,000 average wage. It's just, I know footballers earn a lot of money, especially in the Premier League, but that's an incredible amount of money to be earning on an average with a squad that, if you told me it was £65,000 with the squad that got relegated the first time in the Premier League, I would actually understand that, because we know that the Vardys and the Madisons and the Tielemans and all that, they would have been earning mega money. But then when you look at the side that got relegated with Ruud van Nistelrooy eventually, and you said it was average 65 grand, what happened to the days of signing players? And one of the players on the, if you head to fox8.news, you'll be able to see, and I'll give away one of the players now in the list. I think it's between numbers 69 and 65 on the all-time best players. One of them is Harry Maguire. Now, you can argue from here to the Priory and Loughborough and back to decide on whether that he should be a player in that list. Head to for fox8.news and you'll see my argument as to why he should be in there. But when he signed a relatively meager contract at Leicester and had a fantastic season, was instantly rewarded with a big contract. And guess what was included on the big contract? A huge buyout clause in case someone wants to come in, because the Man Cities and the Manchester Uniteds were all sniffing around him. And so Leicester's gone, okay, we've signed you for good money, 17 odd million from Hull. We've given you a decent wage, but nowhere near anything to do with 65. Again, average wage at the current time last season for Leicester. Nowhere near 65,000 for Harry Maguire in his first year. And then all of a sudden you have a brilliant season. We realise we've got an absolute diamond on our hands. We give him a really good wage and say, oh yeah, by the way, it's £80 million buyout clause at least. Oh, and it's cash up front as well. You know, and then happy days, because if someone comes in for him, then well done, you've earned your contracts, you've been playing well, and we're going to get a load of money for him. Those days have just completely gone out the window, and that's what kind of scared me with those financial figures. We'll see how it all comes out in the wash. It's probably not going to come out very well, as it hasn't for the last over the last number of years, but we shall see. And I think we can kind of move on from that now, because we can talk about the financial side of Leicester City for years and years and years, and it won't make any blind bit of difference, because it's, again, we're not able to sell our ground to ourselves like Newcastle have done today. But that's a different story. But there you go. We're not going to talk about that, or even what Chelsea have been doing and get and don't get any points taken off them. But we're not going to go into that at all, and we're not going to mention Man City and 115 charges. We're going to talk about Easter, because Easter is a time of, I'm not very religious, it's a time of hope. Is it? It's a time of maybe a rebirth of Leicester City or something along them lines. You know the story by now. This 2 games for Leicester, and I don't really want to get dramatic. I'm not a very dramatic person. Okay, sometimes maybe, but I really do think that Leicester's season does basically revolve around these 2 games. I really do. It's something that's very easy to say if you're a podcast host, if you're writing a column on for Fox8.news. The next 2 games mean everything. And guess what? After 2 games, you then turn around and look at the next game and go, this is what the season's based around. It's a very easy thing to say. But I think it really does count. I think these 2 games matter an awful lot. And I think it really does base around our survival campaign. Preston at home, mid-table side, have lost 4 or 5 on the bounce, and then they turned around and had a win last time out. But a mid-table side who aren't really looking towards, they've got a chance of maybe sneaking into the playoffs, but bang average is possibly the best term really to use. I know it doesn't matter with Leicester because we play against the better teams, we play better, we play against poor teams at home, and we fold. And then we go to Sheffield Wednesday away, which is instantly you're looking at 3 points. Every side looking at 3 points against Sheffield Wednesday, who have completely got their own problems, and we're not going to go into that by now. So if Leicester do not pick up minimum how many points over the next couple of games, I not just fear for their survival, but I actually turn around and now start going, no, we're not going to make it. Joe, how many points? And make sure you're commenting out there. How many points do we need from the next 2 games? I want an answer now. Joe, how many points do you think we need?
6 points. I'm going to ring the must-win bell. It's the must-win. There's 2 must-wins, and I was looking at the fixtures earlier. I'll go a bit further than that, Pete. The next 4, we need to win all 4, really. We certainly need to win these 2. You'll know what's going to happen after these 2, really. We'll have a very good idea. Watching the game at Watford, you'd think, it's Preston, then Sheffield. No real reason why we can't beat either of those 2. Then it's is it Swansea and Portsmouth, I think. But they're all either down. There's 2 down around us, and 2, like you say, mid-table sort of mediocrity. The very worrying thing is our home form. It was quite a decent performance against Watford, really. So you'd like to be encouraged by that, but we had a decent win against Bristol City, and then it all went wrong. So you just can't trust the team to sort of do what they should. But absolutely 6 points, if not 9, if not 12 out of the next 4. 12 points takes you to 50 points and safety. You've got to be racking up somewhere near 9 or 10, I think, really, over the next 4.
Jono, what do you reckon? The next 2 games. So the next 2, obviously Preston at home on Friday, and then on Monday you've got Sheffield Wednesday away. Then we're at home against Swansea, and then Portsmouth away in. By then you're getting like 6 points of territory and all that sort of thing. But for the next 2, how many points is an absolute minimum?
Yeah, I agree completely with Joe. The time has stopped now for messing about. If we are going to stay up, the players need to actually dig in and show that they're worth their mettle and play it out on the pitch as they ought to be, and show the commitment that they need to be to get the points against Preston. Preston are a mid-table side that they're not in any danger. They're not in any real danger of either getting to the playoffs or going down. So I think that they've got nothing to play for. And we should be in a position we are, scrapping and looking to try and get 3 points, especially at home as well. I know our home form is awful, but regardless of that, we need 3 points against Preston. And then you would go to Sheffield Wednesday, and given the fact that they're in a real pickle and in a real position themselves, you would hope that we've got enough to get 3 points there as well. But again, this is all on paper, isn't it? We've got to actually show up and actually show that we're worth it. So I would say it's got to the point now where we've got to win games. There's no way around it. We've been messing about now since Gary Rowett's joined the club with picking up some draws here and there, but not really putting a good run together. And now the time is to start doing that. If we don't, in the next 2 games, I fear for the worst, to be honest. I think the next
Yeah,
2 games are going to be absolutely going to show us which direction we're going in.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I said earlier, and it's never a sort of thing I like to say about these 2 games matter. If it doesn't happen in these 2 games, then the season's over, because there's still time to get the points that's needed. But I feel with Leicester, with this season, with the way it's gone, I really do think that it bases around these 2 games, especially the Sheffield Wednesday game at home against Preston. I think the answer for me is 4. It definitely is 4. 6 is what we need. But I think if we were to say, for example, draw at home against Preston, then go on to win at Sheffield Wednesday with that boost of a win, then going into the game against Swansea at home, that could be a bit of a difference. I wouldn't like it to be the other way round, a win at home against Preston and then a draw away at Sheffield Wednesday. I think that would be poor, and I think they would be very disappointed with that, and that might be crucial in the next home game. That might be thinking about things a little bit too in depth for this Leicester side, if you get what I mean. But it is make or break. It really is. Preston at home on Friday, Sheffield Wednesday. I can't see anyone out there at all saying, even a point might be okay at Sheffield Wednesday. It isn't, is it? Because you've got a side who are down, who are depleted, who know that they're down, a group of players almost who have had 3 or 4 or maybe even 6 or 7 opportunities as a squad to get together and go, right, actually, the season starts now. Let's try and play for our futures, etc. Let's draw under a line what's happened, because none of it is their fault. And we'll try and kick on and try and get a few points. I think that's probably happened about, again, 6 or 7 times. And I think maybe after a break, and I know they would have played as well before the game against Leicester, but I think after a break, when you've had a season like Sheffield Wednesday, I think those sorts of breaks are almost worse, because you'll be looking in that break for what probably next season. I think the whole squad will be looking at maybe where they could be going next season, maybe talking to clubs behind the scenes, etc., etc. So it can actually be probably more of a hindrance for a club who are completely down, having a bit of a gap. Fingers crossed from a Leicester point of view, that's the case. And then for Preston, this game against Preston at home, the one thing I'd like to see in this game is, and again, 3 points is an obvious thing to say, and I don't care whether it's off someone's toe, off their arse, whatever. In the last minute, first minute, as long as we get 3 points, that's all that matters at this stage of the season. Again, of this season, I don't care who plays well, because there's going to be such a change around in the summer. But I would like to see one thing, and I'm going to ask you two exactly the same question. What's one thing that you'd like to see? 3 points is the answer, but I would like to see urgency. That's the word. And I've been trying to think about it all day. What else would I like to see? Yes, there's Lascelles at the back. Yes, there's a little bit of maybe even more direct football and a bit of a change in formation, maybe 3 at the back, maybe 2 up front. Who would have thought that? But anyway, these things I think are almost on the back burner by now, because it's just all about scraping these 3 points. But I would like to see urgency. Preston could score in the first 2 minutes from 35 yards, and you put your hands up in the air and you go, look, someone's just caught 1.5 volley and it's flown in off the underside of the bar. What happens after that? And it's urgency. If the football's poor, fine. Go and run and get the ball for the throw-in. Go and run to take that free kick quickly, or at least when you're going to launch it into the penalty area and you're moving forward from the centre-half position, urgency. Go forward quickly. Get back quickly. Hunt down and get the ball back quickly. Because guess what? The one thing Leicester does have, we do have a sizable squad. Run hard. Run yourself into the ground, because we've got a game in 2 or 3 days after where we possibly could change things around. That's what I want to see. I want it to see a little bit, maybe even a little bit chaotic out there. I don't care about the free-flowing football. I don't care about saying it even properly. So I want to see urgency. And if that's a little bit hurried, a little bit harried, a little bit all sorts of football going on, long, short, whatever, direct, free-flowing passing, doesn't matter. Urgency from every single player. I want to see the goalkeeper run to get the ball and take the goal kick. And I'm talking in the first 5 minutes when it's possibly goalless and nothing's happened. Goes out for a goal kick. The goalkeeper runs to get the ball, puts it down, runs back, and then takes the goal kick quickly. Guess what that does? It gets the crowd behind him. Everyone realizes all of a sudden, right, The players are up for this now. The season starts now. This is a pivotal 90 minutes in Leicester's season. And it's a simple thing, but simple things at Leicester have not gone right this season. They've not done them properly. And I think if we just get those simple things right, we might just have enough to stay up. What would you like to see more of? One word, what kind of, or do you agree with my urgency, Joe?
Yeah, well, you said that, and I was just thinking, I just want to see them absolutely. I'm going to have a couple of words. Hell for leather. Absolute hell for leather. Dying for the shirt, dying for each other, leaving it all out on the pitch. I saw Luke Thomas trotting out the old 8 cup finals. If play like a bloody cup final, then, you know, absolutely keep running until you can't run anymore. Keep going, smashing into people. I saw Lascelles at Watford. He didn't do much wrong. He didn't have like a standout game. But one thing he did do was smash straight into one of the other players early doors. It sets the tone. Let them know we're here. We're Leicester. We're not going down without a fight. And just like I say, absolute hell for leather. Have we seen it from these boys? No. But it is Easter, and I'm not a religious man, but I know the story. You know, we're going to have a rebirth. Like Jesus coming out of the tomb, these guys are going to come out transformed, knowing that they're just going to run and run and run till they can't run anymore. Like I say, we've got to start just you plow yourself into the ground, and then you bring on other guys to do exactly the same. Like you say, Pete, we've got people. We need to have more options. We need to have a bit of keeping the opposition on their toes. We're smashing into them. We're doing everything we possibly can to win that ball and get it in the back of the net. Urgency, like I say, hell for leather, desire. These are all words that are meaning the same thing. Just get in there, boys. For God's sake, we're Leicester boys. We're not going down without a fight. We're going to do it. Get in there, get on the pitch and show them what you're made of.
Jono?
Yeah, I mean, all of that. I was just going to say commitment, 100% commitment, and front-footed football. Get on the front foot. Let's try and get ahead, and let's try to dominate. You know, I don't think that Preston that you said it, they're bang average, right in the middle of the Championship. They've got nothing to play for. We've got everything to play for, and so I want to be able to see that. So absolute 100% commitment, and front-footedness. I don't care if, you know, Daka screams 100 over the bar as long as he gets one in, or, you know, the one in that gets us the 3 points. You know, shots on goal, you know, winning the second balls, you know, all of the stuff that Joe's just said, to be honest, all the stuff we haven't seen most of the season. We've only seen it for 20 minutes here and there, you know. So that's what I'm hoping to see. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not totally convinced we will, but hope kills you, isn't it?
Yeah, King Elm Steve, who friend of the podcast, as we know, it'd be typical for Leicester to beat Preston, lose to Sheffield Wednesday, absolutely. And also mentioning about the protest, whether the protests actually are going to go ahead. I don't think they are. But we've had no word. There's plenty on the protest. If you head to forfoxsake.news, Andy, who's commented a few times already, Andy Moore, again from For Fox's Sake, has wrote plenty on the protest, spoke to both sides, etc., and about the organisers and what their aims are. And of course, we've had plenty of podcasts as well regarding that, so you can go back and listen to those. Also, if you're listening to the podcast or watching, head back onto the YouTube channel, or if you're listening via Apple Podcasts or Spotify, scroll down and there's plenty from the women's side of things, because the women's Leicester City team is not doing very well. Leicester City women at all, bottom of the league. Maybe possibly a change of manager, we will see. But Lily's, of course, women's football show, has been talking to opposition fans and also plenty of journalists, plenty of national journalists, broadcasters, Sky Sports commentators. And if you want all the latest on Leicester City women, then check out forfoxsake.news and listen to Lily and the women's football show. Absolutely fantastic and really interesting as well, because I've been listening to it and learning a lot about Leicester City women's problems. a lot different to the men's. You know, they are a lot different, the WSL, compared to where we are at the moment. But it's interesting to hear the difference between the two. It is tragic though when I've sat here listening to you, Jono, not with full respect, but but when you were saying that about when you were saying about those things that you would like Leicester to do, it's what they should be doing anyway.
Yeah,
I just kept on thinking it is, isn't it? It's terrible that we've sat here and we've gone with urgency, we've gone with hell for leather, which is a little bit kind of if you've not seen the film, definitely go and watch it. But a bit of a Hail Mary at this stage of the season, isn't it? Because, you know, just go for it, get it forward, lads, you know, that sort of thing. Maybe it's time. I think it probably is. And then going into a bit more detail, Jono, about individual areas of the side where they should be pressing hard and they should be doing this all the time. But again, I think all that needs to almost be put on the back burner. When you get, and I'm going to be writing about this, by the way, I'm going to hopefully on the back of a couple of good results and a couple of wins, so it can have a little bit of a nice golden tint to the column. But the kind of delirium that happens at the end of the season when you've had a dreadful season and all of a sudden you have an away game where 10,000 supporters turn up to an away end and you've kind of forgotten about the entire season because it's all now based on 2 sets of 90 minutes or even 1 set of 90 minutes, and you forget about everything else, and all of a sudden a block for a throw-in becomes the best thing that you've ever seen in your life from the worst fullback that's ever played from the football club. It all of a sudden, a football season can be condensed down into 90 minutes, and you're screaming at a player and screaming encouragement at someone that you've been swearing about for the last 3 seasons. All of a sudden, nothing really matters apart from that 90 minutes. We haven't quite got to that stage of the season yet. In many ways, I hope we don't, because that means that it's all on that one game or 1 or 2 games. But it's strange what can happen towards the end of a football season, can it? You know, you can kind of, it all of a sudden just comes down to that next 90 minutes, that next 180 minutes, those 3 games. You're looking at opposition games and you're looking at who's missing on an opposition team or a team who are playing a side who are down at the basement along with you and wondering whether their Uruguayan 37-year-old centre forward missing is going to make a difference to the team that's playing Portsmouth. How have we got to this stage? We should be in Europe at this stage of the season, but no, we're not. We're looking at these situations. It's absolutely terrible. International break, we're looking at how many players Oxford have lost or whatever. It's ridiculous. But regardless of the result of these 2 games, the one thing that will be back, and that will be back before the game against Swansea. I want to hear your last thoughts, Jono, on these 2 games. We know what we want to see. We know how many points we want to earn. I want to know some scores, and I want to know the score of both games. Jono, what are we going to do against Preston?
I honestly don't know what we're going to do. That's the problem, isn't it? What I hope for is a very comfortable 2-0 at home with a clean sheet and something that's going to, you know, put some confidence back into the crowd and the supporters and the squad as well, potentially, and then move on to Sheffield Wednesday with a little bit of confidence and actually put a back-to-back win together, which I don't think we've seen all season, and beat them. I'll just take a 2-0, 2-0, or I'll take 1-0. I don't care. I just want 3 points out of both games. 2 clean sheets would be welcome. I think that's totally achievable. It should be achievable. So, yeah, clean sheets and comfortable 2-0 in both.
Joe, when it comes to the 2 of the games, I want to know your predictions, your scores, etc. But ultimately, it's all about the points, isn't it? Because we know the football club is going to be completely different at the start of next season, regardless of what league we're in, League One or the Championship, and including the manager. For me, I've come down on the fact that I think even if we stay up, Rowett will more than likely go, and he's only there just in case. Well, obviously to try and keep us up, but I think if we go down, then there's more of a chance that he will be there. So I'm not bothered at all, regardless of how the points come about. I'm not. But if we do have, as Jono said, like a comfortable win against Preston, and then we go to Sheffield Wednesday and we dominate and win 3-0, 3-1, something along those lines, then that obviously would give them, it should give them a huge boost then going into what will be two, again, very crucial games against Swansea and then away at Portsmouth. That would be ideal. I'm just going to say just 2 wins, just by hook or by crook. Scorelines, and what do you reckon, Joe?
Yeah, it's a bit of a head and heart scores, really. But I don't know. I it's almost like I feel like I just want to be stepping on the pitch myself now. You know, it just really is that getting to that time where you really feel like you've just absolutely got to go for it 100%. So yeah, I'm going 2 wins. You know, I'm not a fan of Leicester City to do things by halves. I'm going big and 1-0. So this is my heart. 1-0 for Preston, and say 3 against Sheffield. Surely those guys just want the season to end. But looking at what's happened all season, yeah, I can see a bit of a dodgy draw at home. But like I say, you know, they've been hard to predict all season. They just got to come out and do what they did against Southampton in the first half, not the second half, and blow them away, because things are going to look a hell of a lot rosier with 6 points after these 2 games. You know, you really feel like, okay, one more win after that, and you're basically there. So yeah, 1-0, 3-0. And confidence to carry on and get 2 more wins, and lovely. We'll look forward to next season and forget about this one as quick as possible.
It's basically is what you've just described, isn't it?
Hey?
Just win them all until the end of the season.
Yes, please.
Part 2, wouldn't it?
I'm going to go. I said 4 points is a minimum. I think the Preston game is just such a massive game, isn't it? If they were to lose against Preston, the one thing I can really see happening is actually the opposite to what Steve said regarding. I can see Leicester. It's typical of Leicester to go and beat Preston and then lose to Sheffield Wednesday. That is the ultimate Leicester thing to do. Yeah. I can almost see the opposite happening. I can almost see Preston becoming almost a new low. I can see Preston being a new low and the crowd really turning on them and them losing at home, and then go to Sheffield Wednesday and then just do a typical Leicester thing, which is give us a little bit of hope and actually win away at Sheffield Wednesday, probably by just the odd goal. So I can certainly see that happening. But I'm going to be a bit more optimistic. I'm going to go for an unbelievably nervy home win against Preston. Really, really nervy win by a goal. It could easily be a 1-0, say, win. Or 2-1, but I'm going to go 1-0 against Preston, and then go into Sheffield Wednesday. I can see it being quite nervy, and I can see Leicester going and winning, but again, only by a goal, like a 2-1 or something like that away at Sheffield Wednesday. So I'm going to go for 2 wins, being a little bit more optimistic, but with this side, again, it's just so unpredictable, and not just unpredictable the results, it's unpredictable the effort that's being put in, and that's really the sad point of the season, really, isn't it? And again, when you see financial figures and you see the amount of money, and I don't really want to boil it down to look how much money they're earning compared to the rest of the people, but it really does matter. And then when the clubs start asking for season tickets to be renewed before we even know what league we're going to be in as well, do you know what I mean? It's, you kind of put your hands up in the air and you think, what's going on? You know, is a sausage roll actually running the football club? It might well be. You know, that's the case. But on the field, at least, we've got these 2 games coming up, and we will readdress the situation on the podcast after those 2 games. Whether we throw in a podcast before Sheffield Wednesday, an emergency Easter podcast, it might well be. We might well do that. It depends, because we weren't here last week. Many thanks for your patience. It was Rob gallivanting through Europe, trying to tick off every single country in Europe to visit. I had a massive bout of the old man flu, and I'm amazed I've got through this podcast without coughing, because I've just done 5.5 hours of Greyhound commentary, and that was a disaster. And Andy's moving house and all sorts going on. So we've been away we've had our own international break. There's been plenty, of course, on for Fox8.news. There will be plenty of build up to the games and plenty of fallout as well on Fox8.news. Make sure you head over to the website. What we do want everyone to do, and you can do this for me over the next day or two, there's two things. First of all, if you do go to wherever you're listening to this and give us a rating out of 5 stars would be great. What that does, it helps other Leicester fans find the podcast. We're all slaves to the algorithm, and that would give us a real boost. So do head over and give us a rating. However you're listening to this, maybe you're listening on Spotify or an Apple podcast, especially, dead easy. Just below where you're listening, you got stars, just give us a 5-star rating, and it helps us immensely with the old algorithm with the podcast. And also, if you've not been to for Fox8.news, head over to the website and take a browse through. Take a look at all the features, all the opinions on the top, the Leicester City women's stuff as well, and just take a look through the website. And if you do fancy it, again, it's a £5 a month. And guess what? You can sign up for a £5, okay, for a month. Have a complete read through the website, all the articles that have been on there, and for the next month. And guess what? If you don't fancy it, you can always cancel straight away. Okay, you're not tied into a contract. But go and take a look, have a look through, and if you do fancy it, have a go. Or if you want to give it for an Easter present for someone, then there you go, if that's your thing. But do take a look at for Fox8.news, and also spread the word. If you like the podcast, if you like watching the shows, and if you like reading all the content on the website, then tell a few mates for Fox8.news, and also for Fox8 when it comes to the podcast and the live shows. That's it, chaps. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Jono. And thanks, everyone, for listening and watching. Good luck to us all, I think, this Easter. I'm getting nervous already, and that's way before Good Friday. Hopefully, it's a Good Friday for Leicester.